Hey guys, what's happening? I'm back. Yeah, it's been too long, guys. I've been gone. Last week I wasn't able to make the show, and I apologize. My deepest apologies to all of you guys. I missed you. I hope you guys missed me too. We're here today. That's what counts. And I see that there's quite a few of you there, so that's always great. Thumbs up for that. How have you guys been? A lot happens in a week or two, right? I hope you guys are all doing well. I wasn't able to come up last week, but I'm back. So now we have more to talk about today, hopefully, than we would have had to talk about last week. So why not get the party started? First of all, let's say hi to everybody that's here. Hope you guys are all doing well. I noticed that some of you guys had already posted some questions, so you're eager to go, eager to jump right in there. Please give me a thumbs up just to make sure that the volume is okay on the voice. And I gotta say, last week, guys, I listened to not last week, the week before, when we were live, I listened back to the recording, and when I was playing the guitar, you guys didn't even tell me, but I was going through my fractal into my DAW, and for some reason the sound was doubled. So I was getting the sound from the fractal going through my DAW, and then it was repeating again. So I think it was going back through the DAW, and somehow the signals got mixed up and it was repeating, so that probably going through another USB. So it was like two signals back to back, and it was a mess. You guys didn't even tell me. I was kind of embarrassed. So hopefully the sound is good. Let me hear. Tell me if you can hear the sound, if it's repeating or not. All you should hear is a little delay, a little reverb. Does that sound okay? If it's doubled up, you let me know. I'm not gonna play. I don't want to make anybody get annoyed out there. But if it sounds okay, then I'll throw in some playing maybe. That okay? Let me know. Also, I hope that this week the annoying ads that pop up now and again will be less. I played around with the settings. Hopefully they won't be popping up. All right, or popping up as frequently as they were last time. So I think that's quite annoying. I agree with you guys. Try to fix that. What else? First of all, I gotta say it's show 197, and believe it or not, it was kind of an anniversary. I looked back on my very first video that I posted, and that was 16 years ago. Believe it or not, 16 years I've been doing this. 16 years ago, it was just a little cheesy video that I posted on YouTube. You guys you can go back and watch it. It's a little embarrassing because the quality is not that great, but it was a video of me playing or trying to teach people how to play Lady Madonna from the Beatles. Back 16 years ago, it was 2008, I believe, May 20th. It's still there. I didn't take that video down, and it's still going strong. And if you guys want to see it here, I'll put the link. You can watch it after. Like I said, it's a little embarrassing. I even did a little singing in that one, and I'm not a singer, so please don't laugh too hard. But I tried my best. At that point, I wasn't doing it to be famous or anything like that. It was really just, I felt it would be a good way of sharing some music knowledge, and that was the whole goal of it. But here we are 16 years later. I'm still doing this. So now we're 32,000 subscribers strong, and thanks to you guys that make it happen. So big thumbs up to that. All right, let's say hi to the boys, and I'll start from the bottom. We see Marcel here, Steven. How's it going, Steven? Presley, Eddie, Ben, Cushman, Music and Gear, Marcel, who else here? Presley, we said. Charles is here too. Let me see if there's any questions. Danielle. Danielle says, guitar sounds distorted. Was that supposed to be a clean sound? No, it's actually a distorted sound. I'm playing, what I'm playing today is this guitar, Tokai. This is a Black Beauty Tokai guitar, which I haven't played in a long time and I love. The action on this guitar is so low, it's beautiful. And it's not as heavy as the original Gibson Black Beauties. But it's got all of the mojo without the price tag and without the boat anchor weight to it. I had swapped the pickups on this guitar way back. I did a video on that. These are, what are these? Iron Gear pickups. And it sounds, I really like the sound. I'm playing through a patch on my FM9, which is supposed to emulate a modified British JCM 800. You know, that's why you get the that kind of sound, you know. With a little delay, a little reverb, nothing crazy. That's what it's supposed to sound like. Anyway, and there's a drive in front of that too, just for a little extra push. Been playing around with my the FM9 a little bit more, but I still should be using it quite a bit more than I am. Still a lot to learn on this beast. Daniel said, just took the Labella stainless steel jazz flats off my Reverend Pete Anderson T-style guitar. I'm beginning to think those stainless steel strings create more fret wear than usual. Well, perhaps. I don't know. Stainless steel? I guess so. I mean, I don't know what kind of frets are on that guitar. If it's stainless on stainless, it should be okay. But I would think that the stainless steel strings probably are a little bit more aggressive on the frets. Let's see. Who else is here today? D-Mac. Mark is here. Mark's trying to book solo acoustic shows. That's great. I think, have you been able to book a lot of shows in your area? Is there a lot of demand for live music? If there is, I'm glad to hear it, because a lot of places, you know, they just tend to cheap out and go the DJ route. Or they just play MP3s through the PA or something like that. And they don't care much about live music. But live music definitely brings another air, another ambiance to the actual venue, I would think, you know. They've actually done a study recently that proves, believe it or not, and this is a kind of geeky stuff that I like and I kind of retain, along with a whole bunch of other useless information in my mind. But they did a study where they actually put people in MRI machines. MRI machines are those tubes that you get scanned in when there's they're looking for any kind of issues. The hospitals usually do that. Anyways, they did MRI scans of people's brains when they were listening to music, and they did scans when they were listening to recorded music as opposed to live music, and it was a completely different, you know, firing of the synapses in the brain when it was live music. So people definitely, in my opinion, or through this research, it's proven that people do connect quite a bit more with live music than they do with pre-recorded music. And I think that's kind of hardwired, you know, probably back in the day when, you know, we were cavemen and we were probably sitting around a fire and, you know, beating a drum or something like that. There was kind of some social connection with that music and hearing that, you know, that thump, that rhythm that I guess still connects with us today, which is great. So if you can play live, man, that's the way to do it. Get in front of people, make those connections. You don't want to just stay in your bedroom and play all the time, right? Music is made to be shared. So hopefully, Mark, you're taking care of that in your area. Presley wants to know, do you ever put stickers on gear, guitars, cases, and amps? I usually don't put stickers on guitars, usually. I don't think any of my guitars have stickers. The only place I may put a sticker is probably a guitar case. But I usually don't put them on amps. I feel like, what's the point, you know? Honestly, I just put them on. If I, you know, sometimes you used to get those stickers in packs of guitar strings. Some companies still like to put stickers in their packaging, especially music companies. I don't know why that is. I think they realize that we like to put stickers on things because other companies, you know, you buy another product, you buy a toaster or something, you don't usually get a sticker in there. But music companies like giving you stickers, you know. And a lot of times I buy gear and I buy stuff, I look inside, I open it, it could be a pedal, it could be a K, you know, something related to guitars, and there's most likely a sticker in there. And I'll sometimes put it, I like to put those stickers where I work on guitars. I'll put them on like my guitar toolboxes where I have all my tools. I'll put them on, I have a little like tool board where I put my tools and stuff. I totally put them, I'll put them there, no problem. I like putting them there, but I won't put them on a guitar. I don't know if you guys do that. How many of you out there will admit you have stickers on your guitar? Put a thumbs up or say me or something. I'm just curious to see what the ratio is. So Presley is totally he's a sticker case guy, never on actual guitars. Yeah, because it's a pain to take them off. I've seen people do that, and you can remove them, but it generally will discolor the paint eventually, and that's not necessarily a good thing to have little spots on your guitars all over the place. At one point, I did create a type of, it wasn't really a sticker. It was more like a protector, and I should actually do that again. I actually made, I cut out, there's films you can buy, kind of like the films you put on cars to protect the paint, but there's other variations of those films where they don't stick with a glue or an adhesive, they stick with static cling. So I actually did that. I cut out some shapes to go on the back of my guitars, and I don't have one here, but I still have one on a bass that I have. So I basically cut out the shape of the guitar, the back of the guitar, and it's a clear plastic film with no glue on it or anything. Doesn't react to the paint on the guitars, and you put it back there, and it protects your guitars from buckle rash, so you don't get all the guitars all chewed up in the back. And I was doing that for a while, and then I kind of stopped. At one point I was going to sell them because I had all different shapes for different guitars, you know, Strats and Telecasters and Les Pauls and all that kind of thing. But I kind of let it drop, and I'm sure there's a market for something like that, you know, to protect your guitars. I still have my bass guitar with that thing on, and it's been years. And you can just take it off. It doesn't do anything, doesn't damage the paint. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm going off on a tangent. So what have you guys been up to? How many of you guys have been looking at new gear? Be honest. Stu Pop says something about he mentioned at the very top the 2x12 cream back is $509. I don't know if you guys were looking at speakers at one point. And Danielle says, I see a sale on a Victoria amp being sold as new. However, the seller is not listed on the Victoria site as a dealer. So there was some conversations that were going on before I jumped in, and I haven't totally understood what the conversations were at this point. But if you guys want to continue those conversations, just let me know, and we'll talk about that. Was there any other questions? I think there was a question earlier on that I missed. I'm just scrolling about here. And there was one from D-Mac. He says, can you replace a traditional 3-saddle Telecaster bridge on an American Performer with a player Telecaster style more modern bridge? Just a simple swap and replace. Sacrilege, I know. I think you have to replace the entire saddle. I haven't memorized what the saddles look like by heart. But generally, if you're going from a 3-saddle to a 6-saddle, if that's what you're trying to do. The shape of the bridge plate is usually different. The 6-saddle bridge plates are usually flat and they come up at the back and they don't have the sides like a traditional 3-saddle Telecaster bridge normally does. So you would have to swap the entire thing. And I think it's pretty easy, and I think you can it could probably be a drop-in replacement as long as the screws for the bridge plate line up more or less. If they're going through the body, obviously the holes have to line up, but you know, you do have a certain amount of play front to back in the saddle, so even if it's not in exactly the right position, you can still get the intonation right as long as the saddles are able to move enough. Sometimes you might have to put slightly longer screws on the saddles if things don't line up 100%, but it's doable. I think it's doable. Ben, yes, this is a made in Japan Tokai. Yeah, it is. It's not indicated anywhere. There's no sticker or anything that says made in Japan, but it is a made in Japan version that I purchased when I was getting gas for a Black Beauty, a Gibson Black Beauty. And I think I dodged that bullet because this guitar is, to me, every inch and every ounce as good as a Black Beauty. I did have a nice Black Beauty to compare it to. My friend has an original Black Beauty, which I think it was, I did a video review of it on the channel. It was an original old one, not one of the reissues that they have today. And it's a great guitar. It's a fantastic guitar. I actually helped my buddy put his T-tops back in because he had taken off the original pickups, and thankfully he kept them. He didn't throw them out. They were in a drawer somewhere. They were original T-tops, and he took them out. And at that time, I think in the early, I don't know what year it was, he was more enticed to play heavier music, so he had put in I think it was a Seymour Duncan Distortion Plus and something else in that guitar. And I convinced him. I said, dude, if you still have those original T-top pickups, put them back in. And he did, and I think he's happy. And the guitar is totally original again. And so I had an opportunity to play that guitar. Fantastic playing guitar, but it's heavy, very heavy. Davis says, the new Fender Tone Master Pro is the first modular pedal board that I've been happy with. It's a great feel as well as the sound so far. Great, so we have a thumbs up on the Tone Master. They seem to be pretty popular. They seem to be popping up quite a bit, those Tone Masters. So I wonder how long they'll stick around. I hope Fender will evolve and not just, you know, get rid of it after a couple of years. Eddie says, made in Japan guitars just have a certain feel to them. I can't explain, but I like it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would say the guitar feels good to me. I think, does it feel different? Not that much, you know. I don't think it feels different. It definitely has a quality feel to it, in my opinion. And the weight is good. It's just right. You know, it's not too light that it feels cheap, and it's not too heavy that it feels cumbersome. It feels like right in the middle. And I haven't been playing this guitar enough. I don't know why. I like when, you know, the tarnish starts to happen, especially on the gold hardware. It tends to go fast because the plating on the gold is not very thick. It's like microns thin. And when it gets older, this is not a brand new guitar, by the way. I bought it used, so I'm not sure of the year. Getting the years down for these guitars is not always easy. There are some resources for that, but it's kind of ambiguous. But the gold hardware usually, you know, tarnishes and wears off quicker, but I like the look of it as it gets older. So I'm pretty happy with it. I think I'm going to keep it. All right, so you guys probably may have heard that Roger Daltrey, the lead singer of The Who, turned 80. That bugger's 80 years old. I still, you know, remember seeing him live, well, not live, but on a video with the Who back in, I think it was recorded in the 70s at some point, where he's, bare chested and has the jacket with the long fringles on it, and he's twirling the microphone and all that. That to me was rock and roll back then. And maybe it's just me, but he's aged extremely well. He's 80 years old, but he still looks very good. He still looks very nice. Like, I mean, he's got the hair down now. It's not the long, curly Robert Plant look. It's more subdued. And he's definitely slowed down a little bit. But I did have the opportunity to see him. I saw him live, and I think I've told the story here before. A very small show when Townsend was sort of recuperating from his hearing situations and he wasn't able to tour. So Roger Daltrey was going around doing small venues, entire sets of just Who music, and he had a sort of a fill-in band. He did an awesome job, and he played extremely well. The voice is still there, so it's amazing. 80 years old and he's still going strong, so I hope we can enjoy his music for many years to come. Yeah, that's what he said, right? He wanted to die before he got old. A lot of people had those lyrics in their music and they're still doing it today. So things, I guess, evolved a little differently than planned, right? Anyway, I'm still glad he's around. So, one of the old-time rockers that I still appreciate for sure. One of the things that I saw this past few days that was making waves, at least for me, because I'm a big fan of Jimmy Page. You guys probably saw this, and the Gibson is releasing a custom shop version of the double neck Jimmy Page guitar. Now, how many of you saw this coming? I did. I figured they would probably go that route at one point. The thing is, they came out with this cool video on that, and you just see Jimmy Page. It just says Gibson X Jimmy Page, and that's all it said. It was on the Gibson TV channel, and you see sort of somebody walking in a darkly lit room with, you can see out of the shadows, the double neck Gibson SG guitar with the 12-string headstock and the 6-string headstock. And then, slowly walking in, it builds up sort of that, that air of mystery. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? And you can see, the back of somebody, and it looks like Jimmy Page with the white hair and the ponytail. And he turns around, and all you can see is the shadow, the silhouette. And he does one of these chords, right? And then you see the Zoso logo with the Jimmy Page signature, and that was the teaser. That was pretty cool, I gotta say. I gotta hand it to them in terms of production value. But the thing is, I mean, I love Jimmy Page. I love, that's a cool guitar. I gotta say, it's not practical. I don't think I would ever be enticed to buy one myself, because I don't see myself playing that anywhere, or even getting a case or anything for it, even if it's not the reissue, full-blown custom shop versions. But this thing is extremely expensive. I don't know what the actual price is, but I've heard rumors that it's like, close to $100,000. I don't know if that's accurate or not, though. But I wouldn't be surprised, because they're only making a limited run custom shop. They're building off of that Jimmy Page vibe type of thing. If you're a dentist or an orthodontist or a lawyer or a doctor, heart surgeon that can afford it and are a big Jimmy Page fan, then good on you. Take it and put it on your wall and use it as eye candy or whatever you're gonna do with it. But you got to remember, it's not the original. It's still just copy. And $100,000 for a copy. Wow. Yeah. Anyways, I mean, hey, if Gibson can do it, and if they can keep on thinking new ways of getting guitars out there that will cost more than, possibly a very expensive car, then, hey, if there's a market for it, they're going to keep on doing it. I don't think it comes with Page, unfortunately, Steven, unless there's some kind of a deal where if you buy the guitar, Jimmy Page comes to your house and plays a show for you privately, then maybe it would be worth the 100 grand, in my opinion. But other than that, I can think of a few better things to do with 100 grand. You can buy a lot of gear with 100 grand. So anyway, but you know, it's entertaining for me to see what Gibson's gonna come up with next. They're seeming to go the other way. Just when everybody needs cheaper stuff, you know, they're blatant enough to ignore the fact that everybody's hurting and the economy is not doing well and prices are going up and groceries are going up, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna just release this guitar that costs $100,000. Now's a good time for that, you know. So I don't know how they feel it's the right time, but hey, they're doing it. So somebody must be buying them, whatever it is. I don't know how much of that goes to Jimmy. Probably quite a chunk, I would imagine. But hey, who's to say don't do it, right? D-Mac wants to know if anybody had a chance to play those new entry-level PRS, sorry, he says PSRs. I don't know if you meant PRSs. It's refreshing to see a big company putting something out for less money, not more. And I think that's the right approach. A few people have reported to me that I've spoken to that they have tried out those guitars and they play extremely well. I wouldn't expect otherwise from PRS. I think they're, you know, they've always put out really good quality budget guitars, and I think they're going to continue to do that, which is what we need. We need more of that, not less, I think. Firewolf says recently, first of all, welcome Firewolf. I don't think we've had the opportunity to see your comments before. I think maybe you're new. So if you are, welcome. And by the way, if anybody else is new and lurking out there and you want to comment and you don't know how, just remember you have to subscribe. So hit the subscribe button first, wait about a minute, and then you're able to put in your comments, all right? So Firewolf says, recently bought a PRS Custom. I think that's the base model or just one level higher. Nice guitar. I've always been a fan of PRS guitars myself, even the SE models. I have no issues with any of those. I've been wanting to pull the trigger on an SE Tremonti. And I've been scouring the used market for one. I didn't want to buy one new. I prefer to buy a used one. There's not a lot of them that pop up. And when they do pop up, they're usually the older models. And the older models, I've actually owned a Tremonti older one. And I didn't like that one. So that's why I sold it, actually, because it was kind of a dead feeling guitar. And it's funny because it was the only PRS guitar that I've ever owned, and I've owned a few, that I didn't feel was a good guitar. It was just dead. Like when you would play it, it wouldn't resonate. And it was the model, the Tremonti model that they have now has sort of a flame veneer on it. It's usually black. The ones that were originally released, you can tell the difference because it has Tremonti written on the headstock in big ugly letters. I'm glad they got rid of that. I think the new ones just say PRS. And the body was painted like an opaque black, like this. So you wouldn't see any of the flame. So I sold that almost immediately. I bought it used. I didn't lose any money on the deal. Got rid of it, and I've been waiting to sort of, you know, buy another one eventually if it popped up. But I haven't actually seen a good one yet that I liked. A lot of the ones that you see that are being sold off of eBay and Reverb, if you pay attention, you'll see that the pictures, there's a lot of issues with those guitars that I've noticed. And maybe I can pull one up to show you what I mean here. Let me just see if I can, okay? Just give me a sec. Maybe off of Reverb. Yeah, let's try Reverb. Reverb is always a good place to start. One of the things that I noticed, and it was blatant to me, blatantly obvious to me. But then again, maybe, yeah, I'll give you an example here. How's this one? So let me just share this with you, okay? Let me just share my screen. All right, can you see that? I think you can. All right, this is just a random one that I pulled up off of Reverb. Anything stand out to you with this guitar? So one thing that I noticed on a lot of these guitars is that the veneers are not matched properly. To me, they look like seconds. If you look here, you'll see that the right side and the left side of the veneer are quite a bit different. The left side is quite a bit paler. The grain on the left side doesn't really match the right side very well. It's almost like it's a mismatch. And I've seen so many of these. You can't see this? Can you see this now? Oh, sorry. Can you see this? Can you see that one? Still can't see it? That's odd. Are you sure you can't see it? What are you looking at? You're looking at me. Okay. Well, that's weird. Okay. Let me try this again. Current application. Wait. Here. Can you see it now? Okay. That's weird. I don't know why you're not able to see it, but let's see. How else can I share with you guys? I usually am able to share my screen. Okay. Well, so much for that. Let me try one more time. Okay, if we go back here, that's me. And go back here. Can you see it now? Can you see something? No. Okay, well, anyways, take my word for it. For some reason, my application doesn't want to share my screen here. So, it'll be fine. I'll just explain it to you. So basically what's happening is if you pull up one of these guitars, you'll see that down the middle of the guitar, you have a veneer on both sides. It usually has a joint down the middle. And what ends up happening on a lot of these guitars, you'll notice that the left and right side of the veneer don't match. The right side might be a little darker, and the stripes for the wood grain don't match up evenly, when you put the veneers together. There's a mismatch. And a lot of these guitars, I believe, are seconds. And that's why they end up on Reverb in the first place. Because almost all of the ones that I've seen that are SE models have this issue. And I'm looking at a few right now. I'm just pulling them up randomly. And you can do the same and you'll see exactly what I mean. And I wouldn't buy any of these guitars because they don't look right to me. And again, I'm just disappointed I can't share this with you. Let me see. How about now? Can you see it now? Hopefully. Yes, no, maybe, nothing. Is this thing on? Can anybody tell me if you can see this? I feel like I'm talking to myself here. No comments. Okay. Well, I'm leaving it up here for a minute just to see if you guys can see it or not. Still nothing. Okay, whatever. My app doesn't seem to be working the way it should. All right, never mind. Still no. Okay. Yeah, it's called Book Matched. But anyways, you can check them out for yourself. You'll see what I mean. They're just not, they're not right. Anyways, so for $1,200 that they're selling for, I don't want to buy a guitar that has an issue like that. So I haven't pulled the trigger on one yet. But if one day I find one that's good, I probably will. I like those, those type of guitars. Paul says pedal of the week, electronic. How do you pronounce it? Anaka distortion, Marshall Super 100, GH in a box, Jimi Hendrix stack. The big deal is you can hear the Strat bell tone and chimes. $110 US. Very cool. Very cool. Paul, I have a homework for you. How's this? Give me 1 second. I have homework for you, Paul. Let's see if you're up for the challenge today. So I picked up a couple of really inexpensive pedals. I'm actually working on a video on these and other things, but I'm going to show you this one. Paul, can you identify who makes this pedal? This is a pedal. You can't really see it. It's just called, it's called a classic chorus. There's no company name on it. Usually it's like Joy O'Donnell or Moval or some other company. Well, this one doesn't have any identification. You can see how the case is made, and you can look at the back. It's made in China. This is probably another example of pedals that are, branded differently for different companies. But if you can tell me who makes this pedal, Paul, I'd like to know. Okay, that's the homework for today. I know Paul's usually in the know with these things, and he can probably let me know. All right. Cool. All right, guys. Let's see. I viewed a PRS, a Swamp Ash model with a top that looked like 3 different pieces of veneer. Not a good look. Yeah, I'm extremely turned off by guitars that look like that. To me, I think it's gotta be nice. If it's not nice, I ain't buying it. Simple as that. Timu pedal, could very well be, says Shane. Billy Bear says, I bought the flanger from them and I still haven't heard it. I haven't tried it. There's also this I picked up recently here. This guy. Can you see that? It's called the Jump Space Overdrive from Moval. Another pedal that I'm going to be showcasing and demoing shortly. A few other ones that I also have in the lineups as well that I will be making some videos for. So what else, guys? What have you guys been up to? I know that I've been talking a lot about myself. And also I want to remind people that there is a poll question out today. There was a poll question out last week too. And I don't think we ever got the opportunity to answer that. Did we? I don't even remember now. But there is a poll question out today. So I want to remind you guys to answer that poll question. We'll talk about it a little bit. And see if any of you identify as someone having performance anxiety, because that's what the poll question is today. Let me actually go in and read the poll question for you guys so that we can perhaps entice a few people to actually answer that before we get to it. So if you guys don't know where the poll question is, just go head on over to the community tab on the Addicted to Gear YouTube channel, and you should be able to see it there. So we'll answer the question from last week too, because I don't think we did. So the question for this week, though, we'll start off with that one, says performance anxiety and playing live shows don't mix. However, some have learned to deal with both. Do you consider yourself to be a musician with performance anxiety? And I misspelled B and I put me instead. I apologize for that. But I think you guys get the gist. So do you guys consider yourself to be a musician with performance anxiety? And I believe, there could be a lot of you out there that just love playing music, but would not really want to play music live in front of anybody. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people are very shy, and they don't necessarily get into playing music to perform in front of people. They just do it as a hobby, which I get. A lot of people are very shy even to get up and make a, public, any kind of public speaking, any kind of speech that they need to make, even getting up in front of coworkers to make a presentation makes them all nervous and stressed out. So, of course, when you're going to be on stage in front of a live audience performing, it could be a very stressful thing. And a lot of people just don't want to sign up for something like that. So if you are just curious, don't be shy, put your hand up. Honestly, I think that a lot of people do have a certain degree of anxiety or nervousness, and I think it's normal. I think if you're not normal when you're getting up in front of a crowd, it's not normal to not be nervous. I think being nervous is actually a good thing. It makes it gets the adrenaline going, and that's the rush I think that everybody enjoys when you're playing music. So give me your thoughts on that. I'm curious, and then we'll see what the answers are to the poll question there. Let's see who joined in. Surfer By, nice to see you. He says, good morning from Boston. Just got back from a walk with the dog. Hopefully the dog enjoyed his walk. He's doing well. Steven said, I won the February giveaway on Todd from Sweet Tea's channel yesterday. Won some wireless headphones and a boom mic. I'll be doing an unboxing video. Very cool. Congratulations. It's always great to win stuff. I never win anything, unfortunately. But I try. So, hey, that means good karma is on you, man. Enjoy. Eddie says, I've been loving my Yamaha THR-10 amp lately for Van Halen classic rock tone. I highly recommend it. Those little Yamaha amps do sound really good. At one point, I was about to buy one myself as a little practice amp. I don't remember why I didn't buy it, but they do sound pretty nice. Yamaha consistently puts out great stuff, I think. Great quality stuff. You can't go wrong with Yamaha stuff usually. Frank is here. Hey Tony, I play for my dog. He is a good listener. That's good, man. My dog used to be an excellent listener too. Whether she liked it or not, she would stick around, and then fall asleep. I guess she found it boring after a while. Danielle says, I find I need to keep doing it to avoid performance anxiety. Sometimes a new location or venue will bother me. I avoid coffee before playing live. That's a good tip. So I know it's funny because when you think about rock, right? Rock and roll, the rock and roll lifestyle, being a rock star, you don't think of having to avoid coffee. If anything, a lot of these guys are not avoiding any kind of substance, if you know what I mean, when they go on, go live. But I could have, I guess a little bit of coffee might make you a little nervous. Eddie says, that's exactly right. After the first song, then I can settle down and have fun. I think really it boils down to reading the crowd. Mark mentioned that. It depends on the crowd. If you're, you don't know what kind of a crowd you're going to get, it's kind of stressful at first. Then when you start playing and you realize the crowd is with you and they're there to have a good time and, they're enjoying themselves, then it's like you can start being yourself a little more. Mark says, I played so many gigs over the last 20 years, I don't really get nervous, maybe a few butterflies, but one song in and I'm fine. That's cool. I think also you have to keep in mind, guys, that when you're playing live, people don't have a photographic memory per se, right? They don't really remember everything that you're spotting when you're playing. Oh, I fubbed that note, or I was a little flat there, or I missed something. They're not that in tune with the music, in my opinion. So they'll just, as long as you make them feel good, they're gonna enjoy it. you know, and they're not going to really care if you flub something or if it doesn't sound exactly like you thought it was supposed to sound. None of them are going to actually remember that. But what they will remember is the feeling. Like, was it a good show? Was it fun? Did you get the crowd going? That kind of thing. That's what they will remember from a show. Like, if I think back to shows that I really thought were really great, I can't remember what was actually played, but I do remember the feeling of that night, of the performance, you know? John says, not anxiety. I just know I'm not gig ready at the moment. I have no problem playing things I know I can play in front of people, but I know I'm out of practice at the moment. Well, I think everybody, you know, does feel a little surge of insecurity. You know, maybe not necessarily performance anxiety, but just, you know, insecurity in the sense that maybe you feel like, hey, something could go wrong. I'm not 100% ready, you know. So there's that, I think. But I mean, that goes away with the practice. I think the more you practice, the more you feel ready. I don't think anybody feels 100% ready, you know. Or maybe you do. Maybe if you practice enough, that really does go away. And if you play enough songs, enough shows. But it would be sad for me to think that if you play too often, that the thrill goes away, you know, like the old B.B. King song, "The Thrill Is Gone." You know, you've played that song so many times and now you're kind of like, you're sick of it. So it's nice to keep things fresh. Shane says, Neil Peart used to have fans hold up drumsticks in the air, an air drum along with him note by note. Yeah. Yeah, but Rush fans, especially Neil Peart's fans, are, you know, a different breed, you know. I'm sure most of them, 98% of them, are probably young teenage males that are drummers. So, of course, they're going to know every single, you know, rhythm part that he's playing. I think it comes with the territory. The guy was, you know, he was an idol. He was definitely one of the greats. So people were definitely following his drum solos and drum playing note for note. That could be a little nerve-wracking when they're expecting you to play every single note, every single beat, and if you miss it, they'll notice that, you know. But I would say that's not common, you know, especially if you're just a regular performer and you're just performing shows here and there. I don't think that's going to be what you're going to be dealing with. Okay, any other questions that are gear related or guitar related? Did I miss anything? There may have been some other questions that I missed early on. If you guys had a question and I didn't answer it yet, please just put it back in. Just put it at the end of the chat and I'll try and answer that one so I don't have to go searching for it. So yeah, let's talk about the poll question from last week a little bit first. Last week the poll question was, if you could only choose one, what would be more important to you when it comes to playing music? Would it be having great technique or having great feel? And it kind of, I guess, goes hand in hand with this week's question. But I got a lot of advice, and people's opinions got very philosophical on that question. It wasn't an easy question. So I'd like to know your thoughts on that one. Shane did have a question here, I can see. So Shane says, Tony, best Telecaster to get for under 600 used. US dollars, not used, just USD. So you're talking brand new, Shane. I always think used when I think, you know, getting a new guitar. Honestly, I would say that you can't really go wrong with a made in Mexico Telecaster. I think any of those made in Mexico Telecasters you can probably still get used for about $600. I hope you can still get them for about $600 these days. I would start with those. I think those are always great workhorse guitars that you can do a lot with. You might want to upgrade pickups or whatnot, but you know, just as is, I think they're great. If you want to go a little less expensive, some of the Squier Classic Vibe models are really good as well. I tend to stick with Fender for Telecasters. I mean, there's a lot of other companies that are making Telecaster-ish guitars. So you can always look at other ones, including Eart and all these other brands that are popping up. I mean, a Telecaster shaped guitar is a Telecaster shaped guitar. But if you're gonna go Telecaster, I would say go the full 9 yards and get yourself a Fender version. Mexican Telecasters are fine. I have no issues with that. Yeah, Bacchus makes nice guitars as well. The difference there may be the shape of the neck, though, Shane. So depending on what you're looking for, I have a Bacchus Les Paul style guitar, which is it's a very sweet guitar, but the neck on it is extremely thin, so not nearly as full as the necks on any of my other Les Paul style guitars. So a big difference there. So I don't know if they do the same for their Telecasters, but it might be something you want to check out before you pull the trigger and buy one, just to make sure. Stu Pop says everyone should build a Telecaster. That's another option. Telecasters are not extremely difficult to build, so you can put together your own. Absolutely true, just like I did with mine. This guy. One of the ones that I put together, it's just one of them. I have a few others, but this one's still going strong. Love it. Honestly, I mean, if I had to compare this one to, a Mexican Fender, full-blown Fender Telecaster, there wouldn't be much difference, honestly. I kind of like mine more because I actually put it together the way I wanted it. So, Music and Gear says the Firefly FFTL is the best bang for the buck. The last 2 production runs have been just great. So there's another one you can look at, Firefly. I haven't had the opportunity or the pleasure to try any Firefly gear. I know they pop up on a lot of YouTube channels. A lot of people like them because you can buy them right off Amazon. But I haven't had the chance to try them, so I couldn't say how good they are. But again, keep in mind, if you're going to buy a Firefly or you're going to build a part caster, something like that, you got to remember that if ever you get tired of it and you're not sure you're going to keep it, you're probably not going to get much money out of it, right? So you have to remember that. But you're not necessarily putting a big investment in the guitar either. So there's that. So that was a good question. I appreciate that question. Did I miss any other questions here? Let me just scroll back a little bit. Not that many questions. Okay. You guys are, you're good listeners, it seems. Good listeners, not into too many questions today, but okay. Paul says, Tony, the Moval is killer product, $200 USD quality. Their Falling Star delay replaced my Boss RE2 Space Echo delay, and I paid $32 USD with free shipping. I can nail Andy Timmons' Keeley sound. So there you go. Yeah, these Moval pedals have been around for a while. And, I haven't tried all of them. But maybe I'll try one of those, the Falling Star. I've read a couple of reviews on that one. I think you mentioned it last week as well, or maybe the week before that, Paul. I remember you talking about it. For $32 USD, you can't really go wrong, right? So, yeah. Might have to check that out. Marcel says M-Musi makes a wicked Telecaster as well. There's a lot of other brands that are making Telecaster, guys, these days, right? So don't be shy to try some other ones. You could probably find something really good with another brand that's not Fender. I'm just saying, if you're gonna go Telecaster, I mean, Telecaster was originally made by Fender, so why not go straight to the source? Marcel says he put Peg City pickups in his M Musi Virgo Classic Telecaster, and it's great. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've mentioned over and over again. Don't be afraid to use some of those less costly guitars as platforms for upgrades. You can make a so-so guitar really good with just a little TLC. It won't cost that much money. And John says, ever tried an Eastwood Delta 6? A resonator in a 335 shaped body, bridge piezo and neck P90. I got one recently. I'm enjoying it. I haven't tried any of those. No. I don't have any resonator style guitars at all, John. Never tried one. I'm still one of the guitars I've never actually owned in the past, so it might be something I will have to check out. Gene says, happy birthday, Cushman. Is it Cushman's birthday? Hey, happy birthday, Cushman. It's time to celebrate. Wish you a great birthday, and thank you for being here to share it with us too. Everybody give Cushman a little love. Music and Gear says Fender FMT Telecaster. Just picked one up and it's super good. And it's a set neck style guitar as well. Very cool, very cool. I like those set neck guitars. The only thing, obviously, with the set neck guitars is that if anything does happen to the neck, you can't really replace it that easily. But hey, you know, generally, how often does something happen to a guitar neck? You know, if you take care of your guitars, you shouldn't really have a problem. There was a question from Jimmy. Jimmy says, did you keep your shiny black Harley Benton Fusion T? One for sale for $250 near me. Looks good for pickup mods and stainless steel frets. Will save lots of money down the line. I didn't keep that guitar, Jimmy. I don't have that guitar anymore. I ended up selling it. Not because it was a bad guitar, but it was very similar to another one that I had. So I decided to keep the Fusion Strat style guitar and sell that one. And also I felt that the black paint job on that Harley Benton being flat, you know, the Telecasters are flat, it picked up fingerprints like crazy. Any black guitar, you guys probably know, like if you touch it with your hands, like this is an example, I guess. I don't know if you can see fingerprints on this, but if I do this, you know, you're more than likely going to be seeing fingerprints on that because it reflects like a mirror. Well, that one was even more because it was so flat, you know, so you have to be aware of that. If you're somebody that doesn't like to see fingerprints on guitars, then that could be an issue. All right. Firewolf says, building a 4x10, going to use two Jensen P10Rs. Thoughts on other two speakers that would be a good fit? Well, with the 10-inch Jensens, I don't know if you really need to mix speakers. I mean, the P10s sound good on their own. What other characteristic would you be wanting to fill in? And why are you going with a 4x10? Well, what are you playing through that with Firewolf? Are you playing through with some kind of a Fender circuit, or are you playing through with something else? Just it would be good to know what your gear is. Vinny's World is here. Happy birthday, Cushman, says Vinny's World. And welcome, Vinny's World. I don't think we've had you here before, or you've commented here before, I don't think. But welcome. Nice to see you. Billy Beers is here as well. Happy birthday, Cushman, as well. Everybody's wishing Cushman some really good, sending some nice birthday wishes your way, Cushman. So what's the damage? How old today, Cushman? How young? How mature? If you're willing to share. I don't want to force you to do that. Paul says Moval were bought out by a company that makes wireless for the military. The new standard size pedals get military reliability standards. That's really good to know. A lot of times when we see these Chinese made pedals, and they're so affordable, or affordable slash cheap, not cheap in a bad way necessarily, but some of them are, let's be honest. We automatically think that if they cost so little, they can't be good, right? Now I haven't opened up this one. I'd be curious to check it out though, to see what it looks like on the inside. Maybe I'll do that when I do a video for it. And Fish Face Babe says, "Wish you would put that guitar down. The more I look at it, the more I want one." Do you mean want one? Fish. I can't even say it fast. Fish face. I'm trying to practice my little country licks when you do these. Obviously on a distorted guitar like this doesn't sound very twangy at all, but it's great for the cult. That kind of thing, you know. I love this guitar. I love it. Sorry about that, Fish Face. I didn't mean to tease you with more playing. But I hardly, you know, a lot of times I'm holding guitars and I forget to play them while I'm here. So, all right, guys, please give me a thumbs up if you can. If you're close to that button, please smash the like button. I would appreciate that. Alex says, Tony, have you ever played at 70s Strat with 3-bolt neck and micro tilt? I think you meant a 70s Strat. Yes, I have. Actually, a good friend of mine, the gentleman, I call him a gentleman. He's a friend of mine. He's actually the brother of a good friend of mine who actually is an amazing drummer. And I actually took lessons from him. He was kind of my first official guitar teacher, but he was really just you know, my friend's brother, and he had a really nice 70s Strat with the 3-bolt on necks with the micro tilt with the big headstock. That guitar felt amazing, had a really nice neck on it. I still remember it as if it was yesterday. We used to rehearse in the drummer's basement because obviously he couldn't carry his drums out easily. So we'd go over to his house and we would practice there. And he had a set of Tama, I think they were Swing Stars. I still remember, I think they were silver or something like that. And his brother was in a band, and they got pretty popular in our area at one point. And so, you know, his guitar case would be on, they had a ping pong table in the basement, I remember. And he had a jazz chorus, a 120 jazz chorus, which was the first time I played through a jazz chorus amplifier at that time. And that was during the early days when like new wave was in, and bands like Flock of Seagulls and other new wave style bands were playing and very popular. So his band was kind of playing that kind of music. So, you know, the jazz chorus being a transistor type amp with a stereo sound was really nice, had a really lush chorus sound, I remember. And he just played through I think it was a Boss distortion pedal or an overdrive pedal, and that's how he got his drive sounds. But he had this really amazing looking, beautiful Fender guitar with a big headstock, like you said, 3 bolts, micro tilt. A lot of those didn't get a lot of love back in the day with the 3 bolts. They were kind of considered to be not as good for whatever reason, and now they're they're popular. Now people are paying a lot of money for those guitars. But I played that guitar and it felt really great. It had a really, I remember it had quite a bit of a radius to it. It was a little bit like more than I had played. At that time I had the Ibanez Roadstar. That's the guitar I had because I couldn't afford a Fender. I always loved the Fenders. Just opening up the case with the big Fender logo on it, on the outside of it, and I remember looking at it, it was like the holy grail. Like one day I'm gonna have a Fender just like that. And it was like, and I think once or twice when I didn't have my guitar, I kind of picked it up, and also during the lessons, I think he actually made me play it a few times and felt so good, you know. I'm like, oh, so that's what a good guitar feels like, you know. And coming from an Ibanez guitar, the feel was substantially different compared to that guitar. So I really liked the feel of it, and that's what encouraged me. I was at that point, I didn't know anything in terms of guitars, and I was sort of a newbie, and that's why I kind of leaned towards an amplifier that kind of looked like, I wanted a jazz chorus, but it was too expensive back then. They were about $600, which is not a lot. I think they're more now, but I couldn't afford a $600 jazz chorus brand new or anything like that. So I ended up buying a Yamaha guitar amp, which was also a transistor. I think it was called the G100 or something like that, or the G2 100. I don't remember the exact model, but it was like it was kind of trying to compete with that amp, but it wasn't nearly as good, I gotta say. So I kept that amplifier for quite a few years. I didn't know any better, but I eventually got rid of that amp, and it was loud, but it wasn't a great amp, I gotta say. So John says the bad 70s Fenders gave them a bad rap, but there were good ones. A friend of mine played a 76 Strat and that guitar was fantastic. I don't know what would be a bad Fender, like a bad 70s Fender, John. Like what would be so bad about them? I don't, I never really, there's bad setups. You pick a guitar off the shelf or off the rack in a store and you can definitely tell when a guitar has a bad setup, but I don't know if there's, what would make a 70s Fender bad? I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be, a smart aleck about it. I'm just trying to, how bad could it be? Like, I don't remember playing any kind of bad 70s Fenders. Davis, if Ibanez would reissue the Roadstar 2 series with some minor updates, I think they would do really well. They were great guitars back then. But I think they just kind of wanted to get they wanted to get a little bit more further apart from what Fender was doing. Because back then the Ibanez Roadstars were quite close to Fender Strats in terms of, the shape of the body. They were a lot more Fender looking than they are today. At least the body, not the headstock, but I like them. I liked them back then. I probably would like them now too. Firewolf says, "Hey Tony, I answered your questions. A modified MiG 50, looking for more low end than the Jensens provide. Thinking Jensen and Celestion vintage in series." Those pair in parallel with each other. It's tricky because Jensen speakers do have quite a different profile than the Celestions, in my opinion. So I don't know. It's going to be hard to really try and get something that plays well with the Jensens. I'm thinking the Celestions would be maybe a little too different. I get the fact that you're trying to look for more low end. But why did you decide to go with 10-inch speakers as opposed to 12-inch speakers? You would probably be able to get more low end just by switching to 12-inch speakers. I know I'm asking a lot of questions. It's just, trying to understand the logic behind what you're trying to do there. And, but, it's hard to mix and match speakers that play well together. I've tried that a few times. and it's difficult enough just going with 2 speakers. When you're getting even more, like 4, it's more of a challenge. But I would say that there are some good cabinets out there that do get some good reviews that do actually mix and match speakers. So maybe you can use that as a guideline. Just check to see what other companies are offering in terms of a mixed pair in the 10-inch speaker profile. Because a lot of these companies have already done the legwork and the homework for you. They've tried different things before they actually settle on a set. Music and Gear says Jensen and JBL works well together. So there's a suggestion. Cushman says, I have a 71 3-bolt. He says he loves it. Oh, thank you, Cushman. You're going to make me blush, Cushman says. Best show on the interwebs. You guys, you're so sweet. So can we get into the question of last week's question? If you could only choose one, what would you prefer to have? Would you say it's more important to come out with great technique or great feel? 2 very different things, but it's a difficult question. A lot of people had great answers and made some great comments, and I'll share them with you so you can actually give me your opinion, because someone said feeling is technique, which I can't argue with. I think to a certain degree that is true. If you have a good technique, you can subsequently have great or good feel, right? But you can also have, my argument with that is that you can also have great feel and lousy technique. I mean, feeling doesn't always have to be perfect, right? We're forgetting that. Like if you look at Nirvana, for example, right? I wouldn't say that Kurt Cobain had great guitar technique, but the music definitely had feel. So, there goes that argument, I think. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily related one-to-one. So Cushman says feel is everything. Music and Gear says feel. Ken says feel. And Music and Gear says if you have both, then you are a master. I would say so. I would say if you do have great technique and great feel, that's what brings you to the pinnacle of mastering your instrument. When you can play so great that you can play anything that you feel, and it's an extension of your voice and your thoughts, I think at that point, yeah, you would be a master in my book, right? And I agree with you guys. I think that feel is very important. Like again, you can have great technique, but if nobody's doing this at the shows when you're playing your music, I think you failed. If they're just in awe by your technique, but then it's a blur of notes, firing at them like a machine gun, and nothing's really hitting here, I don't know. I've seen some guitarists that can make you cry with just a few notes. That their playing is so touching, and they make such a connection with you through their music that to me that's amazing. Like to be able to do that, that would be. I think I would if I had to choose, I would say feel. Technique is great. I would love to have great technique, and I would definitely love to have both. But if I only could choose one, I would say feel. But then there was a couple of interesting comments. Somebody said, great technique gives you the mechanical means to express yourself. Great feel is the ability to use those means at the right time and place. So again, kind of what we're saying. Gene, I don't know how to get AI to timestamp my shows. I don't know how to do that, man. Somebody's got to show me. I haven't been that creative with AI yet. If you can tell me how to do it, I would love to do that. because I'm not gonna go back and timestamp a show that is an hour and a half. It's gonna take me way too long, unfortunately. I'd love to do it though. What else here? So our very own Shane says, great technique all the way. Anyone can strum 3 chords. Great technique also requires the ability to have great feel. Yngwie can play anything Keith Richards did, but Richards can't play what Yngwie did, right? So I agree. I think Keith Richards would never be able to play what Yngwie did. I think that you're absolutely right. But then again, there's a certain feel to Keith Richards' music, which I think, like, I know the chords are simple, you know, and you can definitely play those. Yngwie would definitely be able to play those chords. But when you see Keith Richards on stage, he's all about feel. You know, he's not about technique at all. So I don't think he ever plays anything the same way twice. You know, where I think Yngwie tends to do the same thing. So it's a little different. It's not always obvious. And somebody else said, feel doesn't really mean anything. When someone says a guitarist has great feel, they just mean this. I like this guy's playing. And, you know, my response to that is maybe, but it's probably because he has great feel. So there you see the catch-22 in that situation, right? So he's saying when somebody says a guitarist has great feel, they just mean they like this guy's playing. But why do they like the guy's playing in the first place? Probably because he has good feel, you know. So it's a tricky question, and it was a fun question. I think I enjoyed that question. I think that was one of the better poll questions that we came up with. Steven says David Gilmour's live solo on Comfortably Numb is a perfect example of feel. Yeah, and that's always been sort of the measuring stick, I would say. You know, when somebody really wants to give you an example of a song that has great feel, that song often comes up. One of the greatest solos, I would say. You know, and if you have an opportunity to listen to Mark Knopfler playing Brothers in Arms live, he did a video at some point. I wish I could find it and share it with you guys here. But if you search YouTube, you'll find it. And he's playing Gibson Les Paul, and he's playing that song. It's a recent performance, you know, and it made the hair on my arm stand up. It was so like touching, you know, and so moving. A real great example of feel, I would say. Now that's definitely one that stands out for me. If you can find it, you should watch that one. Alex says feel is knowing the beat and when to play and not to play. Yeah, I think feel is all about the air around the notes, the space between the notes. I think that's what feel is all about. It's not just filling in every piece of silence with sound. It's the quiet between the notes is really what brings the feel of a song to another level. How you approach the note. Yeah, something. I mean, it's hard to put into words, but you know when you hear it. You know, if you listen to drummers, for example, here's an example. You know, you can definitely, any drummer could play a beat, you know, but when they're in the pocket, when they're playing the beat so perfectly that it just feels like, man, you know, you're listening to it and you can tell like this guy is in the pocket deep. You know, he's not ahead of the beat, he's not behind the beat, he's dead on. You can feel how deep that pocket is when there's a great drummer playing a beat, you know. And it's just a beat. It could be the same 4/4 beat that any drummer plays. But when the guy's in time and in sync, you feel it, man. You can definitely tell. And you can see that if you listen to great drummers, you can feel that. So Paul has, he did his research. Paul's back and he says the no-name pedals are designed and manufactured by K-Mize. They rebranded for all comers. The no-name versions are apparently B-stock, according to an Australian reviewer. Really? B-stock, huh? So you're saying I got a dud here? I wonder why it would be B-stock. Well, either way, I'm going to be playing this, and we're going to be listening to it. We'll see. If it's B-stock, maybe I can figure out why it's B-stock. Paul, you're good, you. No, you're very good. I don't care what anybody says. You're good. It's my little impression that I'm doing of Robert De Niro. You're good, you. And Gene says technique is how you use your embellishments. Yeah. And Wayne says I've been playing E minor and for 30 years and still can't play it the same way every time. John says, Brothers in Arms perfectly illustrates Knopfler's quote, guitars say the things that words can't. Yeah, I think music as a whole is that's the whole point of that. Why people love music so much, right? It's an extension. It's like relaying feelings without words. I think that kind of sums up what music is all about. You know, I can play something and make you feel something without even speaking a word, really, which is a magical thing. And it's probably why I love music so much. Because sometimes words fail us. You know, we'd like to communicate stuff, but we can't, you know, and it just comes out in other ways. And music is a beautiful way of doing that sometimes. Speaking of something beautiful, I recently posted a really touching photo on my Instagram. If you guys are following me on Instagram, then you may have seen it. I often put little things on Instagram here and there, and I usually have my link to my Instagram channel below my videos, so you can always click on that if you want to see the photo. But I put a photo that was very touching to me, and it was a picture of Stevie Ray Vaughan's big brother, Jimmy Vaughan. And he was looking at Stevie Ray Vaughan's #1 guitar that was behind glass in some museum someplace. And I actually have some nice close-up photos of that guitar that I wanted to show you guys today. But unfortunately, I can't. It seems like I can't share my images. I can try one more time and see if the images actually pop up. Let me see here. You can tell me if you see this or not. Again, probably won't work. I don't know why. It's weird. Strange, but let me try. All right, do you guys see anything this time? Can you see any image? It usually works, but I don't know why it's not working now. I guess not. It's unfortunate. Maybe I'll share it with you guys next week if I get an opportunity. I don't understand why it's not working. Anyways, usually works. Maybe I have to do an update or something like that. But it's a beautiful picture of Stevie Ray Vaughan's #1 guitar. It's behind glass and a nice close-up shot of it. The original. This is not a custom shop deal. And somebody was good enough to take a nice side view of it, really close up. So if anybody's looking at making a replica or anything like that, this would be an excellent reference photo to be able to make one of those guitars. Really nice, and you can see the mileage that was put on that guitar. You know, like he did some heavy duty playing on that guitar. And it's not fake. It's not a custom shop recreation. It's, you know, the real deal. All right. So okay, let's go to the next poll question really quick. We won't spend too much time on it, but so regarding the question and performance anxiety, So how many of you think that you may have some kind of performance anxiety when it comes to playing music? So let's look at the well, first of all, let me give you the numbers on the previous questions. Great technique or great feel. So there was 274 votes on that poll question. You guys can see it for yourself. And 73% said great feel would be more important than the 27% of you that said great technique. So I think feel greatly outnumbered the results that we were seeing there between feel and technique. And I'm in the great feel camp as well. So I think that one wasn't surprising, at least to me. But the one that we have here today, the performance anxiety. So this one's a little bit more varied. There's 126 votes as of now. And here are the results from lowest to highest. Okay, so 4% of you said nervousness takes the best of me. I simply can't play for people. So 4% of you are just, it's out. You're out of the game. You can't do it. You're just too nervous. 6% of you said, I'd rather die than get up on stage and play for a crowd. That's pretty strong words there. 6% of you. And I get that. A lot of people just can't do it. They're not made up for that kind of thing. It does take a special type of person to get out there in front of people and risk flopping, you know. So it's interesting. 6%. 18% of you said, I get very, very uncomfortable when playing for other people. So this is not just the butterflies in your stomach. This is like very, very uncomfortable. Like, you know, maybe like hurling even before a show, something like that. And I know there's even a lot of rock stars still today. You know, I think even Eddie Van Halen at one point was saying that he would get extremely nervous before going on and would like hurl. Now, I don't know if that was due to the alcohol consumption before the show or whatnot, but he clearly did say that in a lot of interviews that he did. So here, 18% of you said you get very, very uncomfortable. Next up is 20% of you said, I can't play anything. Sorry, let me rephrase that. 20% of you said, I can play anything, anywhere, for anyone, no problem. So that's cool. You know, if you can pick up a guitar and play a song and entertain somebody anytime, on the spot, drop of a dime, that's fantastic. 20% of you said, that's you. That's cool. That's cool. Now, 52% of you said, that's the largest number, somewhat nervous to play for people, but I get over it. And I think a lot of people fall into that category. Like, I don't even think I'm the type that can just get up and play anytime, anywhere for anyone. I mean, I could play, but it won't be perfect, you know. But 52% of you said somewhat nervous to play, but you get over. I think that's a lot of us fit into that category. You know, we have to sort of drum up the courage to do it. But then once we're there and we're warmed up, and the crowd is going and the beer is flowing, everything's okay, you know. And that's a good place to be, I think. Let me see here. What were some of the comments? Someone says, I have no problem on stage, but if I sit down and play for a couple of friends or other guitar players, I'm nervous. That's the funny thing. I don't get nervous for playing for other guitarists. I feel like I'm pretty comfortable. I'm in my element if I'm playing around other people that play music. But friends, you know, especially close friends, I tend to not play for close friends that often. I don't know why that is, but I do. Another comment here says, I only played live once, and that was at my school's farewell concert. How I got through it, I will never know, and I have no wish to repeat it. I think at some point, if you're really nervous, you kind of like almost blank out. You know, you kind of forget the whole thing. You're so like nervous and concerned with the playing that you probably don't even realize what's going on around you. You're so hyper focused on not messing things up. You know, I think I felt that. And then somebody says, isn't this why you and your fellow musicians, if you play with others, practice to assure yourself that you can have confidence in your ability to play live and then share the experience with an audience? But I mean, that's practicing, right? That's practicing. And I think if you're playing with a great group of musicians as well in your band and you have confidence in their abilities, then you automatically feel more at ease. Because if you're playing with a band and you're not confident, maybe you haven't had enough time to practice or get into it deeply, I think what ends up happening is that you're then not only nervous that you're going to mess up, but you're probably also nervous that someone else is going to mess up and then automatically throw you off track. You know, so it's almost like the double anxiety is there. So anyway, there's that. And somebody else says, I always found my best performances came after I puked my guts out. I always told the guys, don't get too messed up. I'll use the word messed up, even though he used a different word. The reason you're here is for the rush of playing. Once you get rolling, it's awesomely wicked. If I don't care, I don't go. So that's true. That is true. You don't want to get messed up before a show. I don't think that's going to be good. You might think you play better when you're messed up, but you don't. Gene says, Gene, thank you for the super chat, Gene. He says, and there's a little birthday Addicted to Gear sticker. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, dude. Always appreciate the support you guys give. You guys are awesome, I have to say. All of you. Bullets for Teeth. Welcome again. I don't think we've had the opportunity to see you here before, at least not in the chat. My family watches AGT, sorry, Addicted to Gear, and American Idol, and The Voice. No, I don't think it's Addicted to Gear, right? It's America's Got Talent. I get it. But if I play for them, they yell at me and turn down that racket. So basically, you're getting the double-edged sword, right? You're watching people perform. There's big shows that are, you know, hyping all of that, but then you want to go out there and show what you got in front of your kids and your family, and they're like, turn it down. I get it. I get it. No one wants to hear me play unless you're on TV. It's not the same thing. Thanks, Gene. So Bullet says, rock on, friend, Addicted to Gear. I've watched your videos. First time I caught you live. Well, I hope it's not the last time, dude. I appreciate you guys being here. All right. So, hey, guys, if there's any other questions, now's the time, because we're going to be pulling the plug soon. We got other things to do, including practice. We can't forget to go ahead and practice. Hey, one funny thing I wanted to talk about. After we started talking about Jimmy Page and the limited run custom shop SG guitar that's going for a crazy amount of money, I was curious because I remember the story where Jimmy Page bought his #1 Les Paul from none other than Joe Walsh, right? Joe convinced him to buy that guitar. And I was curious to see or to find out how much he paid for that guitar back in the day, because if I'm not mistaken, that was back when Joe was in the James Gang. And it probably wasn't, I don't know, was it the 70s? I don't even remember. It must have been the 70s or even maybe before, right? Let me see here. 1968 is when he purchased that guitar. 68, that was a year even before I was born. So that guitar is, what, 55 years old? It's actually not 55 years. He's had it for 55 years. But that guitar was actually a 1959 Les Paul that he purchased from Joe Walsh. So how much did he pay that 1959 Les Paul back in 1968? He, according to Google, and I could be wrong on this, but this is what I came up with, he paid it $1,500. That's not a bad deal for a 1959 Les Paul. Nobody knew that it would be worth the money that it's worth today, obviously. But just to put it in reference, that wasn't chump change back then. You know, basically $1,500 back then in 1969 would have had the same purchasing power as around $10,600 today in today's economy. So could you imagine spending the equivalent of, you know, what would be worth $10,000 back in that time? That wasn't chump change. Now, compared to today, you know, I'd love to be able to buy a Les Paul for $1,500. Those days are gone, long gone. And we're still complaining about, you know, the prices of those guitars today. But in actual fact, maybe the guitars are cheap and we don't even realize it. So Steven says that's huge money in $1968. It is huge money. It is. You can almost buy, you know, not a house, you know, but it's 10 G's. You can definitely buy a beautiful car back in those days for that kind of money. Bullets for Teeth says, I love cheap guitars. Same here. Whoever doesn't like cheap guitars, say aye. I like anything that's inexpensive and good. You know, I don't like cheap crap guitars, but I like cheap good guitars, or cheap guitars that are not necessarily that great but can be made to be really good. I like those type of guitars. Jean says, Tony, how do you say happy birthday in French? Bon anniversaire. That's how you say it in French. It translates to happy anniversary or good anniversary, but it means happy birthday. Marcel says, Tony doesn't really want to say my name this morning. What do you mean, Marcel? I mentioned you early on. You weren't paying attention? What were you doing? Were you fixing yourself a sandwich or something like that? Come on, you know, you guys know I love all you guys. Bonne fête. Marcel says it better than I do. But I said bon anniversaire, which is happy anniversary, but actually Marcel's correct. Bonne fête would be closer to the real thing. Steven says my motto is, if it's free, it's for me. I like that one. I'm going to use that one. Let's call them inexpensive. That's the right word. Inexpensive. I like that. Any other questions, guys? I'm raring to go and play now. You know, I'm awake. We all love this gear and that gear, but in the end, the guitar is just there to keep the string stretched out. Yeah, if you look at it from that perspective, you're probably right. You know, the value we put on our gear, at the end of the day, it's 6 strings, right? What they're attached to doesn't really matter all that much, I would say. Rico, no, I don't have a Flying V. No, never did. Never owned a Flying V. A friend of mine had a really nice one back in the day. I still remember playing it in my dad's garage. He brought it. He was a high school friend of mine. His name was Rodney. I wonder, Rodney, if you're out there and you're watching these videos, man, I would love to know if you still have that guitar. It was a really nice looking Flying V. I still remember like it was yesterday. I always found it awkward to play, but it, you know, back in the day, what did I know? Mark says he's ready for a nap. I'm at the tail end of this flu. Mark, sorry to hear you're under the weather, dude. I hope it's not too serious. And, you know, just stay hydrated. Watch some YouTube videos. Strum some guitar when you have the energy. And you'll be okay in a couple of days, I'm sure. It sucks to be not feeling good. I know how that is, man. Sorry to hear that. Tony, if I want to say anything in French, Spanish, or German, I let my wife do it for me. Your wife speaks multiple languages, Paul. That's great. Hey, by the way, I heard that U2 has finished their residency. Sad day, if you're a U2 fan. I would have liked to have seen them maybe one last time, and if I would spend that kind of money to go see U2 again, I would really love to see them in that sphere at Las Vegas. But unfortunately, won't get the opportunity to do that now. They finished their residency, apparently. And I think the next band to be playing there is Fish. So if any of you are Fish fans and headed to Vegas anytime soon, I think they're only playing a couple of days. They're not playing that many venues. I think U2 ended up, they were only supposed to play like 24, 25 shows, and they ended up extending it to like 40 shows, almost double, because they're so popular, and I guess they were bringing in such a big crowd. I don't think Fish is going to be as, like, I don't know if the venues will be sold out like they were for U2, but it's still cool. If I go to Vegas, I definitely would like to at least walk in that place and take a look at it. It just seems so great. I'm curious to hear what the sound would be like, and if I'd get vertigo, no pun intended, from playing from all the crazy effects that they have there. That's my little imitation vertical for you guys. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up. I think we've been talking for how long now? An hour and 42 minutes. Happy to entertain maybe one or two last questions. If you guys want to throw one in right now, then do so. Otherwise, I'm going to probably wrap it up and get ready to maybe go and practice a little bit more. Eddie wants to know, what do you shoot for neck relief? So here's the thing. When I do my setup, I don't really take numbers. I know I should. But I think if I go with a feeler gauge, and I don't have a feeler gauge right here, right now, but I'm gonna like in millimeters, I'm gonna say, if I look at it at the 12th fret, I'm going to say probably 1.5 to 2 millimeters is the space right underneath. If I'm holding down the string here and here, and I'm measuring right at the 12th fret, I wouldn't even be able to slip my pick under there. And this is actually a thick pick, but I'm going to say it's about 1.5, at most 2 millimeters. That's what I usually, at least on this guitar, this is what I usually go for. As long as the guitar doesn't have any dead notes, I try and get it pretty flat. Some guitars I can go way lower than others. Like this one is really good. I find that's the difference between less expensive guitars, more expensive guitars generally. Not always, but generally if a guitar is built better, the tolerances, you can get them pretty low without any kind of buzz. And this guitar does that for me. Cheaper guitars, not always the case. All right, guys, I think we're going to say goodbye for today. Not forever, just for this Sunday. I think Eddie says, I think my neck is too straight, lots of buzzing. Yeah, definitely check that. If the neck relief is too close, you will get buzzing. It's a combination of neck relief and also height of your bridge here. Those two things will get rid of the buzzing most of the time. Eddie says, I usually shoot for about 0.008 measured with a straight edge. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I kind of agree with that. Yeah. Between 8 and 10, somewhere around there. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out and making this Sunday pleasant once again. I had a great time. I hope you guys had a great time as well. I'm going to definitely have to look up how to generate timestamps using AI. If you guys could drop me some information on how to do that. Otherwise, I'll have to Google it. I don't even know if that's possible or if that was kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke or something like that. But I would love to be able to do that. It would save me so much time. Anyway, I'll be here once again next Sunday for your pleasure and mine. And I invite you all to come back and please invite your friends. In the meantime, before you head out the door today, please give me a thumbs up if you haven't already done so. And don't forget, I'll be putting some videos up this week. I'll be finishing one up probably today for you guys. And there will be more to come. I got a couple of interesting things. And as soon as I get the time, I will put those out for you guys. So please tune in to the channel on a regular basis and perhaps hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon so you guys will know. All right, that's it. Again, happy birthday to the birthday boys today. And have a great week and enjoy yourself. And please be safe, play your guitars, and have a lot of fun. I'll be back. See you soon.